So we continue our sermon series called My Summer Vacation. This sermon series is meant to be able to take us and look at what we do during fun times during the summer and allow ourselves just to kind of take those times and use them as a way to see some of the biblical stories from a different perspective. I think that as we proceed through this, we're going to find that we're going to see the scriptures totally different because of that. Today we're going to talk about camping out into the wilderness. It's an interesting place because I know a lot of you like to camp. But we're going to talk about a story about not only camping in the wilderness, but we're going to talk about a story in the Bible where they camped out for 40 years. You know, when we're out camping, a lot of times we like to go beyond our base camp and we like to go explore all the things that we've never seen before and take us to some places that we just kind of feel really comfortable with. But sometimes we get too far away from that base camp. We end up getting ourselves lost. We're going to talk about this 40-year camping trip that the Israelites had. And somehow or another, they got lost. So let's talk about how this 40-year camping trip happened. God's people, the Israelites, were being held captive by the Egyptians. They were being treated as slaves. And God's people called out to God, saying, "Lord, save us. Take us from this land. Take us to a place that we can call our own, that we can be free in." So God called on a man by the name of Moses. He said, "Moses, I've heard the cries of my people, and I want you to lead them to the promised land." At first, Moses was very apprehensive, but he decided to go ahead and do what God called him to do, through God persuading him in a number of different ways. As Moses is leading God's people to the promised land, some things happened that were unexpected. God's people began to turn their back on God, began to ignore what God said. What ended up happening was they suffered consequences as a result of that. So as we understand this lesson this week, our hope is that we're able to see more clearly what it is that God is trying to teach us. Teach us through the 40 years in wilderness for the people that He loved, His people, the Israelites. We hope today that as we begin to look at this story, begin to understand who God is and how He treats His people, that we can gain knowledge and wisdom from that, that we don't fall into the same trap that the Israelites did. So I ask that you please join us this Sunday morning as we look at the scriptures in a totally different way. God bless. I hope to see you there Sunday.